And this was my face when I had to tell them that Fuckup's new reality, new break-even point, couldn't make their full salaries. I am one of the five borrachos, five drunk Mexicans that started this. And if I can share a little bit of history real quick, it was 8 years ago now. And four friends and I were having too many tequilas, to be honest. You said a few tequilas, or mezcales, but there were many. And you know that when you drink a lot of tequila or mezcal, you get this, you get courageous, you become brave. So we had this amazing conversation that actually changed our lives, and at least it changed my life, where we decided to share our most relevant failures. So meaning maybe not the biggest brand or the biggest number, but the ones that changed our lives, the ones that impacted our lives. And it was such an amazing conversation on one hand because of the learnings. Yes, you learn much more sharing failures than simplistic success stories. But on the other hand, it was amazing because of the vulnerability. You know, when you're hanging out among entrepreneurs, it's not common to be vulnerable. It's more common to have them say like, oh, I'm a super successful entrepreneur, you should invest in my company, I'm crushing it and I'm better than you. So it was super refreshing, and we connected on a much deeper level as friends. And so yeah, we decided to turn this into crazy events, as you can see in the image. um, our co-founder Charlie, he explains it perfectly well. He says that Fuckup Nights is the middle ground between a conference and a big party. Sometimes it's more of a party, as you can see. And yeah, we created the event series, and some people hated it. You know, wow, failure, these guys, don't go near them. They're going to invite you to share a failure. Some people loved it, and more every day, people started loving it. And it grew to have, until at the beginning of 2020, more than 1 million in-person attendees all over the world. Crazy, right? Um, and going into this year, we decided as a team to share our failures from this fucking year, from this terrible year. So at the beginning of this year, we were feeling super resilient, kind of invincible, because we created an impactful and scalable business model to become a social enterprise. We said, okay, we live in capitalism, so if we want to have more impact, we need to bring more hands, pay salaries, have more revenues. So let's turn this into a social enterprise. And we created this super impactful business model, which we call a Robin Hood type of model, because we work with corporations around the world to help them change their cultures and their mindsets, their organizational cultures, but also to take their money and then reinvest everything in the movement's growth all over the world and spreading the message. Um, so at the beginning of 2020, we were feeling super resilient, like nothing could seriously affect us, because think of it, like we were growing, we were hiring amazing, beautiful people, and we were working to reach many millions more. We had these super big, stable clients all over the world, which means income in different currencies. So we weren't afraid of the valuations in Argentina or Mexico. You know, we had different revenue streams, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on and on. We felt super strong, and we said, what could go wrong, right? Oh, surprise! Enter a global pandemic. The one thing that could wipe out our entire industry, our field of operations, because you can imagine that until 6-7 months ago, 99% or more of our operations were offline, in-person events, like the ones you saw in the picture. And at the end of February, I remember watching the news and watching the wave coming from China all the way, like shutting down operations and events all over the world, country by country. So I had this thought that, like, this was my very professional reaction, saying, oops, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that 83% of our revenue is in immediate jeopardy. And we don't know if, how, or when it's gonna come back. So quickly we started lowering all expenses, sadly firing vendors, adjusting salaries for the first time. And so yeah, we were trying to buy time so we didn't have to lay off our amazing team, and to maintain as much as possible the culture, which is the most important thing for us. And at that moment, I had to stand in front of the team virtually and tell them that I had no clue about what was going to happen. But we would try to buy time and runway. So pretty much I asked the team, do you want to jump off a cliff with Fuckup and try to figure out what to do midair? And the amazing team, they said, fuck yeah, let's do this. Let's try to do this. And as a leader, to be honest, when people are looking to you for solutions, for certainty, for a vision, but also for transparency, like what's happening, where are we? It feels terrible to not know what to do, what to say, and it feels like you're telling them to just fend for themselves. So that's where the whole emotional crush and this roller coaster started. But this amazing team, you might recognize some beautiful faces there, stepped up. You guys stepped up and started creating amazing digital events. You said, okay, let's pivot. Let's do what we can. We have digital, let's try this. And some organizers weren't as into the idea of doing online virtual events because they signed up for the beer, no, for the offline emotions and connections and networking. But other super courageous ones like you guys show the world what could be done, and what an impactful experience it can be. And we said, okay, this is great. It works. Now let's try it also with our enterprise clients to try to bring the revenue back, to reactivate this Robin Hood model as quickly as possible. And I remember it was the end of March when we reached out to dozens of our clients that had even signed contracts, and we had planned events, but they were postponing or canceling. And we tell them, wait, don't cancel. Let's switch to digital. And that first week, we reached out to all of them. We called them. We were super aggressive. And so we got an average of about 0 to turn to digital, 0 sales. And in the second week, we said, okay, we need to be even more aggressive. Let's reach out to all of the leads, the potential clients that have reached out to us and more, send a massive email. So that way we actually got 0. And then in the third and fourth weeks afterwards, we said, don't despair. Okay, we have worked on this for more than 3 years. We have a list of thousands of contacts. We have had hundreds of historic clients. Let's reach out to all of them and tell them how cool it is to create a digital event. So that way we actually got 0 clients. So that in that moment, it was April, and a thought crossed my mind. I had the music of the Ghanaian poppers meme in my head all day, like, holy shit, we're gonna disappear. I don't know what to do. We were hemorrhaging money, and we were selling 0. At that moment, we realized we were making a mistake, the mistake of just pushing a solution in our clients' faces because of our need. Like, oh, we need the money, do this, it's amazing. And we weren't listening. And when we actually started to listen and to analyze why clients were saying no, thank you, we realized that they were hesitant because they didn't know how a virtual event feels and works, how it looks like. So we said, okay, come over to these amazing open events all over the world, to the LGBT edition, to Mujeres Sin Filtro and more. And then they were like this, like, holy shit, it works amazingly well. The feeling is there, the emotions are there, the chat is blowing up, there's a bunch of participation in Q&A, and we get data and we can create reports. It was blah. They were super excited. So finally, we started getting some of the revenue back. And now that we're doing better, it's like 40% of what we would have made before. So, 40% is not much, even when you lower expenses. So again, this was my phase calling for a meeting with the whole team for another financial update. And this was the most difficult moment of my year, and one of the most difficult moments in my career as an entrepreneur, because of the attachment that I have to Fuckup Nights. And I had to tell the team, banks, even shark loans, they are not, well, if there ever was a difference between them, bank and shark loan, but they aren't giving money unless you give them your house and your grandmother as collateral. We are talking to a development bank, for example, but they are slow and bureaucratic, so we don't know how many months before we see any money from them. And this was my phase when I had to tell them that Fuckup's new reality, new break-even point, couldn't make their full salaries, which sucks, because when you think about it, you're impacting the lives of many families that depend on this income. And just to say, we cannot afford it and we don't know what to do and what's going to happen with the fucking pandemic, it's not fun. So I remember that the first time I talked about finances, I hosted a team meeting and gave them the update. And the team told me, Pepe, I have no idea. You should have sent information beforehand. So I'm more informed and I'm not surprised in a meeting. So, okay, perfect. Great feedback. Sorry about that. The second time, I sent an email with information beforehand, and the team told me, Pepe, you're an asshole. You actually could have been way more empathetic and not just say, boom, these are the facts and these are the financial statements, and sorry, we cannot pay full salaries. So bottom line, one thing that I realized this year is that it's very clear to me now that I need to be much better as a communicator and much more intentional and much more empathetic. So today, we look like this as a team. we are hurt, we're hurting, we are tired, we're emotional, we cry, we yell at walls, or at least I do. I don't know about the rest of the team. We have lost amazing team members that went to other companies that actually can pay full salaries. We have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we also have acted as quickly as possible, which means we have made a bunch of mistakes in the way, and we have hurt many people. I have hurt many people's feelings. But now, at least we know who we can count on, and we are proud of what we have achieved, this new stability of this crazy global organization that has so much impact, that we know that we need to stabilize and to grow again. And we're working on that with amazing strategies and the support of amazing people. Thank you, Marcus. So in a values-based global movement, where we believe in authenticity and vulnerability, as I mentioned before, we are also having fun, and we are laying the groundwork for growth in a new digital reality. It's funny because we tell all these huge organizations around the world about resiliency, but we had never lived a big crisis. Now we have lived it, and now we are getting over it. And it's amazing because it's just who we are as a team and an organization. So it's been a horrible experience at some points, but it's also an experience that we can feel proud of and say, yes, we fucking did it and we survived this thing with not one offline event in the world. And all this is possible thanks to crazy misfits all over the world, like you guys, Joan, Diego, because you believe in a world where people can and should be themselves. We should be ourselves and not the super successful entrepreneur, you should invest in my company, I'm crushing it. A world where everyone can share their failures and shortcomings openly. We are Fuckup Nights, and we are building a global Fuckup nation. So thank you, weird people, for joining tonight.
Have you ever failed in a project, career, or business? Whether you have or not, you can become a Fuckup Nights organizer in your city, company, or university. Learn how at fuckupnights.com. Join the movement. Fuck up the system.